Hello, my name is Dennis Mungai. I'm Kenyan, and today I just want to share about my journey of fear. And it's one of the main reasons why one of my podcasts, is called Bold, because I have those rare moments in my life when I've decided to be bold and do the things I want to do with my life. Because as a creative, I feel like I've always allowed myself to be boxed in and to try and be as possible normal in every group I've been in. And that has really influenced the kind of person I have been in my life and the outcomes I've gotten in my life. Am I proud of the things I've done? Yes, I'm proud. I'm really grateful to God that there are things I've been able to accomplish in my life. And those things, I was able to accomplish them in the periods and times that I didn't allow fear to reign over my mind. And I live near an airport, so probably you're hearing an aeroplane passing by. And I remember just thinking, what are some of the things, what are some of the moments that were iconic in my life? And in those moments, I had decided to put my fear aside for whatever it was I was feeling and just dealing with whatever I wanted to do. And I remember the first time I pushed fear aside, it was just after I gave my life to Jesus. I remember being in that hall, and we had gone for a service, a CU rally, and our main intention, me and my boys, was to go and get a girlfriend, because that would allow me to fit in, because I always wanted to belong to that crew of boys that I was hanging out back then. And I remember accompanying them and just waiting to learn from them. How do we approach these ladies? How do we talk these ladies into being our girlfriends? And as we were in the service, I recollect listening to the sermon, because I'm that one person that doesn't know how to remain idle. So I was fully attentive to what was going on at the front. And the pastor preached and preached and preached this message, and then he comes to the end and he does an altar call, and he says, whoever feels like giving their life to Jesus should raise their hands up. And the hall was silent, and nobody dared to raise their hand up. And I remember meditating on Luke chapter 12 verse 44 there, where it says that if you're ashamed of me in front of men, I will also be ashamed of you when you come before my Father and the angels. And I didn't want Jesus to be ashamed of me. I didn't want him to be ashamed of giving a good testimony about me as an advocate when I go to meet his Father in heaven. And I lifted my hand. I was the first one to lift my hand in that room. And my friends were really pissed off. They were like, why are you pretending? Do you just like this attention and stuff? They were like, just pull that hand down. Put your hand down. Put your hand down. We don't want the pastor looking our direction. Because there were always a bunch of people that were into, feeling like they were the boys, they were the men, and that wherever they went, they were the bad boys, and they were uncomfortable with the attention that I was bringing in the room towards them. And I just kept on focusing on the fact that I don't want Jesus to be ashamed of me. And that day I gave my life to Jesus. And that was the first time I did something courageous in my life. And now it's years later, and I'm getting back into that zone of, I want to be courageous in my life. I want to shoot videos like this. I want to put out more content like this. Content that really builds and embodies the person that I am. Because I feel like I have so much in me to give the world. And there's no way I'm gonna do it if I don't just do something. And this is another video I'm shooting since the last one I shot last week. And I'm not doing it from a point of, I really understand where this is going. The only clue I have is that I like churning out Christian content. I like being part of the voices that are propagating the gospel of God to the world. And I want kids to look at me, especially the kids I teach in Sunday school. I want them to look at me and see that I'm not just a Sunday school teacher. I'm walking the life of faith that I claim to be walking. Because there gets to a point in our lives where we've done something as a routine so much that we no longer know why we do it. And I don't just want to do this because I'm freestyling through my life. I want to be really intentional about serving Jesus with my life, so that when my kids look at me, they see somebody that really embodies the very thing which he says he does. And come to think of it, the first time I remember the first time I was convicted to change my life and just decide to give it to Christ. The things that led to that day, because that day was the climax of the things that God had said and poured into my life that were intentional about transforming me from just being the boy I used to be into the boy that is God-fearing intentionally. And one of the main things that really inspired me to give my life to Jesus that day was my auntie. My auntie used to make us pray with her, kneel beside the bed, and it was annoying because she would make us kneel for hours. She'd be praying, she'd be crying, and we'd be embarrassed, and we'd be wondering, why is she crying? Why is God making this aunt of mine cry? Isn't God supposed to be interesting enough for auntie to be happy? And we had so many questions in our heads, and sometimes we would ask auntie, why do you cry during prayers? She wouldn't respond because she thought we wouldn't understand. But in the long run, she was ministering to me, not because of the things she said I should do, not because of the many times she had really challenged me to lead a godly life, but because of the way I saw her live her life. Because my aunt made me believe that being Christian is a good thing. It's comfortable. There's value in me being a believer and walking by faith. Because until then, I wasn't ready to give my life to Jesus. Because it always felt like, I remember in Sunday school they used to encourage us to be obedient to our parents. And being obedient didn't seem cool to the bad kids. But I wanted to be cool. And I felt like maybe I should allow myself some few more years to continue doing the wrong thing, to continue being disobedient and doing the things that you were told not to do. Just enjoy the enough of the world. And then when I'm done with the juicy parts of the world, now I could give my life to Jesus and lead that boring life. Because that's how it was in my head. Like, I had grown around a space where it was comfortable not to do the right thing. It was cooler to do the wrong thing, to hang out with my peers, and most of the time my peers never really wanted to do the good things. And finding people that had good influence over my life, like my desk mate back in Form 2, his name is Kevin Shitote. Finding people like such was not normal, it was rare. Because this guy was the only one in school speaking English when the rest of us were busy speaking Swahili. And finding people like him who could minister with their lives, who decided to live out their lives the way they wanted in spite of everyone else around them. It was really motivating. It really fired up my heart to want to do the right thing, to want to serve God with my life, to want to give everything that is in me to this wonderful God that has given me my life. And that day I gave my life to Jesus. I gave my life to him, and I started understanding that everything I have, especially the things I've received in this world from my parents and from everyone else around me, it was as a result of the provision that God had poured into my life through my parents and through those people that would pour into my life in any way, either in the physical way or in the spiritual way. Yeah, so these people challenged me to be courageous enough to live out my faith, to be courageous enough to do it even when it looks like I'm crazy. And one thing I keep on learning about being a man of faith is that many times I'll be the crazy it will be crazy to live out my faith. Many times it's gonna keep on being crazy to live my faith, and it's gonna take a step of faith and courage to decide to be just crazy enough to live my life for Jesus. Thank you for watching this video to the very end. May God bless you. My name is Mungai. Amazing time. Be blessed.